You know, we have some dealers around the world interested in the pulse machines. You and I both been to around the world for whites, doing training in Africa and Latin America. And so today, let's just discuss some of the pros and cons of using pulse machines.
Okay.
We have the TDI SL, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the machine?
It's rugged and reliable, but primarily what the Pulse does is it can penetrate extreme grounds that a VLF can't, and that's always been its claim to fame. It'll work in areas where a VLF will not work, and in those areas of really bad ground, it's going to give you the better penetration. You're going to find more. You're going to find the gold in places the VLFs that just become overwhelmed or overloaded because of the ground minerals and the content in the ground.
You know, when I first learned about the pulse delay, you know, this is called a TDI, a time domain instrument, and I didn't know what that meant, but it actually, you can set when the machine takes a sample.
Exactly, that's what the pulse delay is once it sends the pulse comes back, when do you look at the target signal?
This is pretty highly mineralized ground, and I noticed running a VLF machine across here that it was chirping, but the pulse machines pretty much ignore this.
They do. Between the ground bounce and the pulse delay, you should be able to quiet some really extreme ground and get some good performance there.
You know, one of the things I noticed when we were in gold-bearing country over in Africa, some of the rocks were so magnetic. There's just so much iron. In fact, they harvest those rocks over to make iron. So, of course, a metal detector is going to respond to that. And some of the best BLF machines in the world were over there, all the manufacturers. And I was noticing that the Africans were digging all kind of ground signals. They'd dig and dig and dig, and it would just be a rock.
Yeah.
And I would tell them in French, I said, allons mess with me mineral instead of metal. Come on, let's go.
Yes.
And when I saw pulse machines in the same ground, totally quiet until they were hit real metal.
Yes.
What a huge difference.
Yes.
And this is something a lot of people need to realize. These have a very practical application.
They do, and it's those difficult areas that the VLFs have trouble with. That's when the pulse really takes off.
Well, having been around the world on these expeditions to teach people and train them, you know, who was behind this particular design? Why did whites choose to go with this design? What was kind of the logic behind the whole thing?
Well, some of the original designs date back to Eric Foster, the father of Pulse, and the TDI Pro, the model preceding this one. The TDI SL, the idea is to get it lighter weight, get it to a little more convenient battery package.
You know, I like the battery pack on these because I've used other pulse machines that had huge batteries, and you had to wear a harness and charge them overnight. And, you know, this is just a bunch of AA batteries. I mean, golly, you can just change those, put it in. I found running this thing wide open, I get, I don't know, maybe 6 hours before it starts kind of fading. I've got a rock over here that's so hot that anybody's VLF will just quit working. Here's a rock that's so hot, watch this magnet. I mean, that is a hot rock. And all the VLF machines I've ever tried just overload on that rock. But we'll show here in a minute that you can put a gold target right next to that rock, and the machine will ignore, the TDI will ignore that hot rock and still get the gold.
All right.
So why don't you show us how to turn it on and balance it, and we'll try something right quick.
So you've got your on-off gain control, which is a sensitivity or gain. Turns it on, you know, we're going to come up about 2/3 of the way up. You have a threshold control, and that's that hum you hear going on all the time. You want that as quiet as you can and still hear it. I'm going to set it a little bit loud. You need to be up above the level of noise. If you set it too quiet, you can hear some noise, circuit noise. So you want to get a good threshold, about like that. So we got our gain set and our threshold set. We're going to tune it in the all position, and this is the switch that decides if you hear high conductors or low conductors. Of course, your gold and your nickel are going to be your low conductors. Your silver and copper are typically your high conductors, although some really large nuggets can come up into the high range. But we're going to tune it in the all position. The frequency just gets away from other metal detectors. If there's several other people with other detectors and you hear some chatter going on, you can get off frequency a little bit there and get away from that interference. The pulse delay, you want to run it pretty darn low as you can, and still stabilize it for the ground. This detector ground bounce is just like most of your VLF detectors. You basically You're gonna pump the loop, and again, we're in the all position, and we're gonna start turning the ground balance. You see I overshot it there. I'm gonna back up. That's what we want. We want to get rid of the ground. And as you can see, it's pretty darn easy. For a VLF guy, he can adapt to this pretty quick.
This is a 2.2 kilo nugget that I made for testing. It's 80% lead and 20% aluminum, because some of our clients are finding nuggets that are up to 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a small target for them, but it's a huge target for the average American to consider. But it's amazing how far this TDI, you get a signal, you know, air test 24, 25 inches all day long.
We've got a smaller nugget here.
And it's interesting, the large one has a low tone and the small one has a high tone.
Right, the high tone is for the low conductor. So there's the low conductor, which is your gold and nickel. There's the high conductor here.
So a really huge nugget would sound like that.
Like this.
And a tiny nugget would sound like that. If you tune up on it and you have a target, you could fine tune your ear and say, boy, if we hit gold right here, that's what it'll sound like. This rock is so hot that no VLF machine can ever survive that thing. So you could balance that out probably where you don't hear it at all.
Just pump it.
So you're neutralizing one of the hottest rocks I've ever found anywhere.
Yeah.
So Steve, let's try an experiment here. Here's a relatively small nugget. And you balance out that hot rock pretty much. It's pretty much ignoring that. But let's see if you can still get that target.
Loud and clear.
When we're talking to dealers around the world, places you and I have gone, one of the issues they find is getting support from the factory. Now, you've been working for White's how long now?
Coming up on 40 years.
So what's White's reputation in the metal detecting industry as far as servicing their machines and taking care of their dealers?
Top shelf customer service has always been important to White's, and we strive to do that every day, to have the best customer service there is. And you know, it's flattering when people compare us to other industries and say, boy, I wish, you know, other industries had customer service like this, and that's always a great compliment.
You know, I know that White's have some new dealers in various parts of the world, and I've had the privilege of meeting them, and they're really excited that White's is committed to helping them wherever they are to have first-class customer service. 'Cause if you sell a nice machine to someone and it breaks and they can't get it fixed, it doesn't make for a happy customer. Hey, Steve, enjoyed being with you again, and hey, let's go prospecting.